today we've got Trojan Gordon with us, who is a BACP counsellor for now about 8 years. You're also an ambassador for Lululemon.
That's right.
And you do a lot of running and fitness, which is how we first met.
That's right. That's right.
So today I just want to touch on a little bit of your fitness journey, but more importantly, it's the bit beyond the fitness that we want to get to in the end.
Okay.
So, Gordon, welcome.
Thank you.
Trojan, welcome.
Thank you.
You know, when we first met, I looked at, you had this T-shirt and it said Trojan, and I'm thinking, Trojan, is that a brand? Because I have the same problem when people say Johnson. They say, what's your first name? I say, it's Johnson.
Well, yes, my name's Trojan. We met at our park run some time ago, and I am co-founder of a running crew called Emancipated Running Crew. And what we basically do is provide a space for black and brown people to run, to take care of their mental and physical well-being, to provide a safe space for them to just be.
Yeah. So how did you get into fitness? If you're using the broad word.
I think I've always been involved in fitness one way or another, but my sort of steps into running was by my fellow co-founder who introduced me to running. I went on a run with her in the morning,
right?
And we basically did a couch to 5K program.
Okay.
Couch to 5K program.
I can't imagine you on a couch. I can imagine the 5K and beyond. In fact, I know about that bit, but
well, initially I couldn't. Initially, I found it really hard to run, and I wasn't particularly interested in running.
Right.
And so we just took it very slowly. We just ran in for like a minute, walked for a minute, and basically built up from there.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2006, just a while ago.
Right.
And I did it for a while, and then I sort of dropped off from it. And then when the Olympics came around in 2012, like with most people, I got inspired, and my inner Olympian came out, and I started to run again. And I started to participate in the sports relief events that they had. And so I was doing that and fundraising, and that sort of built up from there, bit by bit. So I was doing that, and then I was encouraging other people to participate to help with the fundraising, also to get fit. And from there.
So is that for their benefit or for yours?
Well, I had done.
Was it because you were lonely running?
Well, I think when I did it before, it was just me. It was a solo experience.
Yeah.
And what I had realised is that you tend to enjoy things more when it's a shared experience.
Yes.
And so I was trying to get other people to share the experience that I was having. And so I think in 2014, I got a group of us, 5 of us, did the sports relief one, and we fundraised between, I think about $1,000, 1,400. We raised a lot of money, and that shared experience with all 5 of us doing it together, I really enjoyed it, and it was from that moment on, it sort of kick-started I guess what later to become ERC, Emancipated Running Crew. So I was trying to encourage people to participate in running, to join me in running events, and I think back in, fast forward a couple of years, 2 of my friends were doing their own thing, having the same similar journey, and we just happened to have a conversation where we decided to sort of join forces, and the result was ERC in 2019.
Okay, so that's 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess how ERC worked was that we created a WhatsApp group. Yeah. And we was encouraging people. Initially, I was using it to encourage people to participate in runs with me. So that was back in 2014. Yeah. And so I'll do a running event. I'll try and get people to come with me. We'll do the running event, and then I would then look for the next one, and the same thing happened again. So that's how So people who had done running events with me stayed in the WhatsApp group, and I would just send them information about, okay, this is coming up. It sort of evolved into ERC. So as time went on, the remit of what I wanted to try and achieve sort of evolved. So what I'd realised is that when I went to different running events, it wasn't very diverse.
Yeah.
There wasn't that many black people there, or black or brown people there. And I felt that it was something that needed to change. And so by trying to create a space where people can go and feel that they had a space in these events, more people will come. More people will participate, more people will see the benefits of running, and that running had a space for them. So then it sort of evolved from that. I guess back in so although the ERC name started in 2019, the process had started some years before then.
So all the thinking in terms of this is something that's building up inside.
Yes.
But culminated in the name.
Yes.
ERC.
Yeah, I think we wanted to think of a name that reflected who we are. That we wanted to encourage people to basically run free. Be free. Be yourself. Have a space that's for you, and you can just be you. So that's where I guess emancipation is talking about being free.
Freedom.
And culturally, that was something that we wanted to create a space that reflected our cultural experience, our cultural shared experience, as well as our own lived experiences that we can share and with other people who are like us.
So in terms of numbers or size, what's the community like now?
We have, I would say, in the WhatsApp group, we have about 60 people.
Okay.
Or plus, I would say. What we try to, how it works is that it's like a virtual space. And what happens is that people daily will check in and say, I've done X, so I've gone for a 5K run. And throughout the day, people will be checking in with their activities, and there'll be conversations about health. There'll be conversations about stuff that is going on. So if something happens in the wider context, that will be a space where people can talk about it. If there's stuff that people want to share, information or ask questions, and it all feeds into the space, and the space then becomes something in which people can be seen, heard, celebrated, encouraged and supported. And especially during lockdown, when we were all locked down, literally, that was a useful space for people to, connect with people who were on the same sort of shared experience, and was able to connect in that way. So we have that space, which is how it's predominantly run. But then when we have running events, so like the London Marathon or 10Ks or whatever, or even park runs, we can then meet up, and there will be people there that or who look like you, and it's a safe space for you to sort of be around people. So we did a half marathon back in August, a big half, for instance. And
I remember that because you offered me a slot to that.
I'm always trying to encourage people to run, so and
I thought, no, these people would not be waiting on me. But that's a different story.
Okay, and that is a good point to make, right? So we had people who had done half marathons before, some have never done it before, and so we had 21 people turn up, and so we all came together. There were some people who did the relay, so there's 4 people who did the entire course, and they sort of had like a baton which you pass on.
You didn't tell me that. You didn't say I could run quarters.
I think probably by the time I told you, we didn't have any of those spots left. But yes, so we had those people. So if you
all I got was the full torture.
Well, I obviously had faith that you had faith to do the whole 13 miles.
We don't know each other well.
Oh,
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I'll let you off next time.
You might surprise yourself. But anyway, so we
Yeah.
had some people who have never done a half marathon, who have done maybe 1 or 2, and some people who have done quite a few.
Yeah.
And we all sort of started at the start line together, and we did our own individual race, one. And then we waited for everybody at the end.
Yeah.
You know, and it was about you doing you, but at the same time, it's an individual one, an individual experience, but at the same time, this is something we all shared.
Yeah.
You know, so we all finished, we all celebrated each other, we all was in it together, and was able to share our experience of this event. Some people found it hard, some people found it, you know, they really enjoyed it. Some people, we all had our experience, but we all did it together.
Did you get any sense of, well, there's someone I know who's in front of me, or someone I know who's behind, or so it's like you're physically running, separated, but a sense of togetherness that is transcending we're not neck and neck. We're not, you know.
It's a good question. I never thought of it in that way, but I had been, this year I've been recovering from injury. So there was no way that I was able to do the race that I would have wanted to have done. But I think it was the knowledge of doing the race, because I've done it 4 times that event. And the first 2 times I did it, I was fully fit. I was able to run it and do, you know, and have a sort of, I'm going to achieve this. The last 2 times I've been injured, and this one I was injured. So I knew I couldn't do the race I wanted to do. Yeah. But I knew that whilst I was doing it, in the level of fitness I have, there was other people doing it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I enjoyed, is knowing that I'm not doing this on my own. Yeah. And it really wasn't about trying to beat anybody or trying to, for me it was about the experience.
So it's not like I have to match my personal best, or I have to get better than that.
Yeah. It was more about enjoying everybody else's experience, because I knew that I sort of put to bed that you know, the idea of me doing it how I did it 2 years ago just wasn't possible. But what was possible was that I can turn up, I can support my the other members, and actually enjoy their experience, because we experienced this together. So there were people, you know, seeing someone who's done a half marathon for the first time, and seeing how they experience it, and knowing that you're experiencing it with them, is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. You know, it's more than just you. It becomes about us. Yes. You know, I was there. You know, I know how it feels to do that, because I did it at the same time. So it's all that sort of shared experience, as well as your own individual experience at the same time. So people passed me along the way, you know, hi, and off you go. And some people we ran together until I couldn't keep up with them anymore, and then off you go. You know, and the strange thing at the end, you know, because I was really suffering, and then I saw a black woman who was really suffering more than I had. And we ran the last bit together, and she would say, thank you. You know, because time wasn't an issue for me. It was like, as long as I finish it, that's fine. So we ran and we walked and we did it together. You know, and then I think the last bit I sort of left her, and then I waited for her at the end, and we gave each other a hug. And you know, hopefully she will come back and do it. You know, because of that experience. We shared that experience together. Yeah.
In a way, I don't want to make it too big, but it's like life, isn't it?
Yeah.
You meet people along the way. You bond. You connect. You do something together. Maybe 1 day, 5 days, a year, and then you move on, and then you reconnect again. So it's that's the feeling I get when you describe that.
Yeah, I think running is a good analogy for life. You know, one's life journey, the difficulties, the challenges that you may face. You know, running also, it could be like a marriage.
Yeah.
of the mind and your body,
Yeah.
and it only works when they're both working together.
Yeah.
You know, your body can't run if the mind's not in it, and your mind can't run unless the body's in it. So if they are arguing, so to speak, it's not going to work.
I argue all the time. Maybe that's why.
You know, but if
why are you doing this? Come on. What?
But it's compromising it.
Yeah.
So the mind and body will
Yes.
compromise and say,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well, this is hard. I mean, I had done the marathon about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Done the marathon. And again, the same issue I had was I hadn't done the training
Mm-hmm.
because of my injury. So I knew physically I hadn't done what I would have liked to have done.
Yeah.
So, and mentally I was like, Trojan, you haven't done the work, and this is going to be hard. My
Yeah.
body say this is going to be hard, and so we had to, I guess, my mind and body had to find a compromise and say, okay, well, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But this is what you're going to do. This is how we're going to manage the situation. And what I did is that I decided what really matters to me. Okay, I want to finish it,
Mm-hmm.
right, and I want to enjoy it. Right. So it doesn't matter what time I do it in, as long as I do it. And there's no point of doing it unless I enjoy it. And so what I did is that I ran, and when I felt my body was saying, okay, it's enough, then you walk. And then when your body feels it's okay to run again, then you run. In the meantime, enjoy the experience. I mean, really enjoy the experience, because this is the first time you'll be doing this, and it will be the only time this will be the first time. You can do it again, but you won't be the first time.
It's unrepeatable.
Yeah, right. And so you have to enjoy this moment, what you're doing, and that's it. And that's what I did. I mean, I was nervous and all the rest of it, but once I started and I let things go, and I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing, I loved it. I mean, if you see the videos and bits and pieces of me doing it, and I'm watching myself and I'm thinking, you know, there's a clip that the crew took of me when I saw them at Canary Wharf. So that was mile 19. So I've been running for over 3 hours by the time. Things were hurting me. Mm-hmm. When I saw them, I was jumping up and down. You thought I just started. You know, and when I'm watching myself and I'm thinking, you shouldn't really be doing it.
No, you got a little way to go.
I've got a long way to go, you know. But because I really enjoyed the experience, you can see the joy. You know, you can see that. You know, I knew how I felt, but you can see the joy. You know, and I think it was that marriage between the mind and body that, you know, and my intention. It's self-evident, you know. And even when I finished it, people were saying to me, "It doesn't look like you've been running for 5 hours." Yes, because I enjoyed it. You know, and I think if I hadn't enjoyed it, you would have seen something else. You know, and I wanted to enjoy it. You know? It was magical. Yeah.
Good way of looking at it. Just to come back a little bit. Why were you nervous? What was that nervousness about?
Okay, so the nerves was, I knew I was going to do something that was going to be hard. And I knew I was going to do something that I really wanted to do, and I really wanted it to go well. And that's what I told myself. So I knew that's the meaning I gave the nerves. So I didn't really sleep that much the night before. I was sort of the nervous energy, but it was good energy. You know, and you know, this is something that, you know, I'm from London. You know, I've been here all my life. I've been aware of the marathon. Who hasn't? If you're from London, you're aware. At least you're aware of it. I've watched this, you know, and I guess I was watching something that I never saw myself in.
Wow.
Someone like myself. I never imagined that I would be there. And suddenly,
there you were.
I am. You know, and suddenly, you know, I'm doing something that someone had said to me a couple of years ago. I would have found it difficult to imagine myself there, and yet suddenly I'm now here about to do something that is going to be, potentially amazing.
So here you are, Trojan the individual, and there's Trojan ERC.
Yeah.
And you're part of this bigger community, but you're the individual running.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like? Because you're talking to me about freedom, and you're running around London with all these faces looking at you as you're going around these 26 point something miles. What's that experience like?
I think individually, as I said before, it was something that it was a personal achievement.
Yeah.
So sort of suddenly you find yourself in a space that you didn't think was available to you. And secondly, as being part of a group of people, part of a community, I think it was important for me for people to see that someone who looks like them is doing something like this. I'm not like a animated athlete. I'm a middle-aged man.
Well, it depends on your definition of middle age. I move mine a little bit further on down the line.
Well, in my zone, right? And there is, it's more than just you.
Yeah.
And it's the few people that I was telling someone, my barber, that I was doing this, and you can sort of see the reaction was wow, but also I can see myself doing that.
Yeah.
And I think there's not much difference between me and him, but if you look on the TV and watch who does it, you don't really see people like us doing it. If you do see a black or brown person, they are the elite athletes. They're the ones who are, flying. But what I think is important is that you see people who are local, attainable, average. And what I want to be saying and representing is that yes, you don't have to be elite. You can be you. And you can do it, and the more people that you see doing that and occupying that space allows other people to occupy that space after you.
So in essence, you're embodying freedom.
Yes. And
you're embodying hope.
Yeah, and embodying, that you can be, that you are enough. That you're free to be you. And I think that the when I, as an individual...
I have to be careful here because I can see myself doing a 10K somewhere along the line.
No, that's the plan. That is a plan. But it is. When I reflect on myself doing the marathon in particular.
Yeah.
We have a mantra in ERC is running free.
Yeah.
And I think when I reflect back, that's how I ran. I ran free from you have to do it by this certain time.
Yeah.
You have to do it this way.
Yeah.
You have to be like this. And I sort of unshuckled myself from all these expectations, and I can just run as me.
So is that a mental, or would you even say is that a spiritual freedom? How do you?
Ooh. That's a good question. It's probably a mixture of both. I think, as a counsellor, which I tend to feel that there is something within ourselves that knows what's best for you.
Yeah.
If you give it the space to operate.
Yeah.
I think what we tend to do is that we put external expectations on what we should and shouldn't be. And I think what I call it is my spirit. My spirit will talk to me. My spirit, if I allow my mind and body to connect with it and sort of get that balance, right, when I can do that, then it allows me just to be. I don't have to be running. I don't have to do the marathon without stopping. I can stop and walk,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, people could be running past you. It's fine. You know, you're doing you, and that is good. That's fine. You know, and I can feel fine within myself. That's what I'm doing. So, and I can allow myself to do that, right? Without thinking, no, Trojan, you have to run yourself into the ground, because that's the thing to do.
So it's not a must, it's not a should, it's not a ought. It is, in the way I see it, of course, from looking at it from somebody sitting down, who would watch it on TV. I see it like an alignment of body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
So that gives you that freedom to, okay, I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
Or, okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
run a little bit. Or okay, whatever is, it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I had done the Paris Marathon in 2019, and that one was about I need to do it by a certain time.
Yeah.
And that was a big focus. You know.
Was that the first marathon you've done?
That's the first one I've done. So I signed up to do the London one, didn't get in,
and
I was sort of ready to do a marathon. I sort of, I had given myself reasons why I couldn't do it before, and then I sort of got to the stage where I thought, no, you can do it, and you will. Not only you can do it, you will do it. So I didn't get into London, and I decided I had to do one, or it may never come. Right? So I signed up for Paris. Went to Paris, and my target was to do it in 4.5 hours. Did it 4 hours 35 minutes. So I was very happy with that. And so ideally, I would have wanted to have done London faster. Because that's what you're
supposed to do.
But then I realised that ain't going to happen. Hence the reason I had to reprioritise what was important. And so I did it half an hour longer. When I did enjoy Paris as well. This is lovely. This one took it to a whole different level, you know, and it didn't matter. The time was really immaterial. If it took me 6 hours, it took me 6 hours, you know. I was pleased with the time considering the circumstances, but it was more about just accepting the body you have. This is the body I have. This is what my body can do today or that day, and it's good enough to get me from A to B and enjoy it. You know, rather than I wish I had this body. You know, I wish I was this. I wish I was that. I don't have it. But what I do have is good enough. If I treat it with respect and listen to it, it will get me there. You know, it's when I imagine or want something different that I don't have, then I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to listen, because I'm going to push it to do something that is telling me I can't do. If that makes sense. So I listened to it. If it told me to walk, I mean, initially, to be honest, I didn't listen initially because everybody was running. I was letting everybody, you know, streaming past me, you know. But then when I sort of said, well, and then I just stopped and walked, and people ran past me, and I was smiling and, you know, acknowledging and enjoying, and then when I felt I could run, as I said, I got to run again. But it's a whole different mindset.
So I guess at first it's caught up in the moment of the excitement and all of this, the noise and the fanfare and the colours and all of that. It's like, it's the real buzz, I would imagine.
It is. I mean, I think at first it was like, I'm actually doing it. You know, you see the cameras, you see it all, and you think, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually doing it. I'm actually running. You know, and then, you know, when you see the bits, like when you run to Katisark and you've seen it on TV, so you sort of you imagine it, but now you're actually doing it. You know, and then you're running around.
I'm on the James Bond set.
You see the cameras and everything, and you know, and then the thing I also liked is that I saw people who was cheering along the way. So every so often I was seeing someone who I knew. I saw other runners who I've been following on social media, which was good, who ran past me, and there was, you know, so that's acknowledgement, and that was happening all the way through, which as I said earlier, I've done other runs where I felt invisible, I'd seen, I just sort of ran, finished it, gone home. It's like I wasn't there. And this was people seeing you, people cheering you, people. Everybody was, and I guess that whole it felt like a proper, spectators, the participants.
It was a
shared experience. It's
Yeah.
crazy, I mean, until I've heard about it, I never really personally experienced it, but it was truly, it felt like a true experience, a shared experience. People who, there was someone who I met at the beginning who was waiting to start, and I felt thirsty. This is part of my nerves. I needed to drink something, so they had like a big batch of water. Well, so this guy was standing there, and I thought he was working for the events. So I said, "Oh, can I have some water?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And then I realised he was just another runner. Anyway, we started talking, and he shared a story with me, and again, this is part of the shared experience.
Yeah.
And he said he had done 19 marathons before, and this was his 20th marathon, and he had promised his dad when he had died he would do 20 marathons, and this was his last one. And he had his picture of his dad in his shoe. I've never met this man before. I probably will never meet him again. But the fact that he said he had never shared this story to anyone, or not many people knew this, and for whatever reason he just felt he wanted to share that. And it was such a lovely story, and I think that's the shared experience, because his name was Simon, if I remember correctly. And I just thought, this doesn't normally happen, and so he has his story, I have my story, but I think there was that human connection. We all was there, runners, all runners, all different abilities, all have our own individual stories. You have the supporters who were there supporting the runners, and yet it was a shared experience, which I thought was absolutely, what is there not to enjoy? I didn't listen to no music. I had my headphones in. I took them out, and I thought, they had no music on anyway, and I just thought, being here, you have to hear all the sounds.
Yes.
You'd feel, the sun on your skin, the wind, the everything. Just the sense of people, the movement around you, your own internal discomforts and pain and joy and everything. You have to, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So,
and that's amazing to get that sense of. I guess to me, when you say that, it's like this is a whole body. This is not an outer body. This is a whole body, mind and spirit experience. Where from the feeling it on your arms, to hearing it, to seeing it, to smelling, to tasting, touch, everything is involved here.
Yeah.
But it's a collective.
Yeah.
And that, in that sense, it's amazing. You're talking about, was it 40,000 plus people?
Yeah,
50,000 plus. I don't know how many spectators.
I think there was 40,000 who participated in the actual race, and then I think I had another 40,000 doing a virtual one, and then you had the supporters.
Yes.
And it was well supported,
So you okay? Let's say 80,000 people having a shared collective experience, and that is a real sense of wow. In itself.
Yeah.
So if I bring it back down to earth in a way,
yes, sir.
And I'm saying to you, so how does all of this fit into your work life? So in terms of counselling, does that have any impact? Do you think?
It does. I think how do I integrate this? So I think running is, as I said, it's about life.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you run. It's one foot in front of the other, but it's a great metaphor for life and about connection, you know, with your internal world as well as the external world, and being mindful of what's going on. So I guess whilst I'm running, I tend not to think about the past, the present. Although thoughts may flow, come and go. I'm focused on what's going on now. Now, I think with counselling, it is about focusing on what's going on for you now, maybe understanding what's the past and the future, where you want to go in the future, but it's about focusing on what's going on for you now and sort of centering that. And the thing about running is also it's like an acknowledgement of self. You know, so you run in, you're aware of your body, the physicality, the foot, you know, on the pavement, you know, the unevenness, you know, you're aware of what's coming your way and the negotiation, how you're going to deal with that. You're aware of your thoughts. And it's about processing all of that. So that is, I guess, how I use running in a counselling space is you're doing that, but you're sitting still.
Right.
So there's an awareness, you are sort of digging deeper to what you're presenting, right? And trying to have an awareness of what it means to you and how it's impacting on you, you know.
So is that like having a deeper well from which to reach into, for your work perspective?
Yes, because I think I do tend to use a lot of running and parallels.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, you know, running helps you to stop.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Running helps you to stop.
It helps you to stop with everything else. I think with the lives we live, it's and it's thoughts and I need to do this, I need to do that, or thinking about you either being anxious about the future, or you're having regrets about the past. I should have done this. Running helps to stop that. Helps, and maybe not necessarily stop, but it helps you because it brings you, anchors you
to the pain in my foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm thinking,
pain in my back,
if I have a problem with my problem at the moment is my hip. I'm focusing on that. You know, I'm focusing on I'm coming up to a junction. I need to be mindful of traffic. My anxiety about what's going to happen tomorrow disappears because all my energy is focusing on what's going on now. It doesn't. Whatever's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's not happening now. What's happening now is what I'm doing now. You know, and it centers you. It stops. It helps you stop. And sometimes it helps you process stuff. So I work as a counsellor. I take on a lot of stuff from my clients. It's a lot of emotional work that I may do. And one thing that I find is helpful is I just go for a 10-minute run or 25-minute run. And it helps me process that energy, that weight out of my system without actually me having to think about it. I can just let it flow out of my system. I can put it out. It's not mine. It's weight that I'm carrying that doesn't belong to me.
Sure.
Right. And so I don't really have to do anything with it other than just let it go. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so by the act of running can free me of that, because I can literally be tired as hell at the beginning. When I finish work, it's like, I'm tired. It's 9 o'clock. I just don't want to do anything. I just want to just sit and just have this weight on me. And then I do my warm up, step out onto on the road, run to the top of the road, and you can feel it. It's just you're shedding. You know, and by the time I do 1K, it's like I got a vim, which really I didn't feel. You
didn't start with it.
You know, and it shifted. So it stops a lot of stuff. You know, at the end of the run, nothing's changed other than how I feel, my internal world has sort of been decluttered somewhat.
Your physiology has changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's interesting because I talk with people who are into the trauma therapies, and they, especially the ones who do the body work, of releasing exactly whatever that means for you, whether it could be this or it could be much more. It's the movement, just moving in whatever form it is. It could be running, it could be Tai Chi, it could be yoga, it could be. So there's something about the movement and that physical bit, connecting with the mental bit, that is so important when you integrate the two together.
I can say yes all day long, and I always think that's one of the things in ERC we encourage people to do is move. Be free to move. There's a joy, there's a freedom in just being able to move. The gift of movement, and it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as it involves movement. It's freeing, and there's a freedom to it, because if you can't move, then you realise the joy of being able to move, as innate as human beings, we are born to move. First thing we do is move, and so, it is, there's stuff that we hold on to, and I guess, as I said earlier, it's stuff I hold on to with my clients. Moving it releases it. If I'm annoyed about something, going for a run, I can use that energy and put it into my run. If I'm stuck on something, mental, I can go for a run, even for a walk. Because at the moment, after the marathon, I've decided to slow it down for maybe 2 weeks, and so I'm going for my walks, and just the movement, is so important.
So does that have the same effect for you in terms of, let's say, at the moment it's post-marathon, so I need to walk instead of, so that recovery piece. What would happen, do you think, if you couldn't run for whatever reason? So let's say some injury happened. How would you work that one through?
I would find it very difficult not to move.
Yes.
I mean, even though, so I was injured. I got injured. My original injury started in December 2019. I tore my calf while I was going for a run. And even though I couldn't run, although I tried initially, because I refused to listen to my body. And then when I listened, and I thought, okay, what I then did is that I did the one that I could do. So I shortened it, or I ran and walked. I find that walking, I prefer running, but if I can't run, then I walk or maybe cycle. It's important for to rebalance me. And I feel that if I don't do that, the accumulation of not doing that would have a detrimental impact on me mentally, I would say, as well as physically. And so I would, to be honest, if I couldn't run, it was forced upon me, I really don't know the answer to that question. It's all, I think the thought of it kind of frightens me, really, because I work from home, and part of what I do is I purposely go out with intention, to walk. Otherwise, I'd realise that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't leave my house. And I think that's not healthy.
No, that's not. I agree.
But it so easily can happen. It becomes a habit. And so there's certain things I do with intention, because I know, or I believe, that without it, it would have a detrimental impact on me physically.
But you also have the ability to cycle if you can't run, or the ability to walk, and that, coming back to the movement piece, there is still movement involved.
Yeah, I think it's vital. I think as as human beings, we are made to move.
Yeah.
We move from the time we. It's one of the first things we do. We can move before we can talk.
Yeah.
And I think one of the freeing things as a child is to run. When a child begins to walk, when they realize they can walk, the first thing they end up doing is running everywhere. They don't walk everywhere; they run everywhere. And as children grow, and as toddlers and into small children, they run really. And I think somewhere along the line, we lose that. But there's something quite freeing about just letting it go. And it must be, it's I think it's very healthy.
Yeah. So we're just about coming to the end, Trojan. Now I've got one last question for you. Apart from the running aspect of it, what would you do for your reset? You can't do the running. We've done the running.
That's fine. I do have an answer for that. Strangely enough, I do like to lie still.
Okay.
So
I didn't expect that one.
So I guess because in my job, I do a lot of talking, and I take on a lot of stuff from people, and I'm always kind of active. So running's helpful in one way, but also there's times when I feel that it's helpful for me just to be still. And what I mean by still is that I can sort of lie in my bed, in my room, no music, nothing. It's just silence.
Wow.
And I just lay there. Sometimes I might doze off. Sometimes I just lay there, and it's just peaceful.
What sort of time are we doing? How long? 5 minutes? 2 minutes?
I could do it for an hour. I can do it.
Okay.
I can do it for even a couple of hours if need be. Sometimes it's just nice to just lay there and not do anything, not think about anything, not procrastinate or ruminate. It's just when I tell people that, they're always surprised. But because as people in our society, we always
you're either doing or you have input coming in.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just stop, silence.
And is that something you've learned along the way, or is that something that comes naturally, or how did that come to you?
I don't know. I've never given it any thought. I think it's something that I sort of evolved into.
Okay.
I probably need to give it some thought where it came from, but I think that I realise that sometimes it's not always necessary to be doing something. Sometimes doing nothing is doing something.
Yeah.
Or it is doing something. And sometimes it's a reset. I don't have to be doing something all the time.
And how often would you reset in this way?
Probably. I tend to.
Is it a regular?
I do it regular. I probably do it more often than if I gave it some thought. If I have the house quiet, and I know there's no one in the house, I like it like that. And I can do it with people in the house, but sometimes there's something quite peaceful about just lying there and you just listen to the sounds around you without having to really interact more than just being there. Yeah, witness. Yeah, so yeah, so I think if I feel that it's time for me to stop and an opportunity provides itself, you know, sometimes it's also nice as now that I'm thinking about it, when I've gone for a run, so I had a nice run, I come back and I lie in my bed and I just, you know, I guess physically I've sort of worked my body and mentally I'm just letting it go. And that's it. And that could be for half an hour, an hour, you know, I might doze off, wake up, you know, and I feel, okay, time to get up now, move on.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So, in terms of people finding you online, do you have an online presence somewhere that?
I'm on Instagram as This Is Trojan.
Yeah.
And the Emancipated Running Crew is Emancipated Running Crew.
Yeah.
Website is the same thing.
Yeah.
And where else are we? And we have, on Facebook as well. So check us out.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy that.